there. I didn't see you come in. How are you doing? Welcome back to another episode of the Need a Left podcast with me, your happy host, Clyde, always coming at ya from Caledonia, as it were, from Scotland. I'm fucking with you. Hey, I'm sorry, everybody. That was my very best Scottish brogue. And if there's any Scots listening, I'm sorry. Perhaps you might offer me a bit of a critique. That would be nice. Thanks so much. Okay, hey everybody, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. If you're, if this is your first time joining us at the Need a Lift podcast, and yes, I did say us, that is to say me, Clyde, always your happy host, and my lovely little wifey, Mrs. Kaylee, the ukulele. Always say hello, Kaylee. Singing like a goddamn bird today, Kaylee, baby. That was beautiful. All right. Yes, and if it is your first time joining us, I would like to say welcome. Please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. That would be fantastic. And please, if you dig the video, or if you don't dig the video, give me a like. That would really help me trick this stupid algorithm. That's our whole lives now. We gotta trick algorithms. There's algorithms that we have to trick, all right? Because the algorithms are in charge, all right? So dig, if you like it, boink, tell your algorithm all about it, okay? Anyway, welcome, one and all, to today's episode of the Needle Lift Podcast. And what do I do here at the Needle Lift Podcast? I'll tell you what, it is it is my sincere intention, ladies and gentlemen, to give you a lift, to give you a little encouragement. There is not enough encouragement in today's world. That is a fact, all right? And in fact, I want you to know that your path to creative fulfillment will be a rocky road, all right? But it's your path, it's your road, and I'm there for you. Consider me your on-site mechanic, all right? If you get if you get a flat, you need somebody to come and fix you up and set you back on your way, consider Clyde always, all right? I will always give you a lift. I am into your dream. I am into your ambition. It makes me happy to know that there are folks like me out there who have the courage, who have the goodwill. That's right, the goodwill to shower onto the universe, I should say, their good works, the products of their wonderful thoughts. So harbor wonderful thoughts in your brain, and the rest will follow, I'm sure. I'm sure of that. In fact, I give you the Clyde Always guarantee and stamp of approval. Okay, hey everybody, I'm broadcasting, just so you know, for your information, from the Paris of the West. That's right, this is San Francisco, California, established 1849. And going strong, okay, in spite of everything. And that's what today's pep talk is all about. That's right, every episode of the Need a Lift podcast starts with a pep talk. All right, and call it what you will, but it is me giving you a boost. It's a sermon, if you will, for artists, for free thinkers. Now, that's not to say that that I consider myself some sort of godly figure, nor would I want to consider myself something like that. I am just as human as you were, or your great Aunt Tilly, all right? But I'm here doing my goddamnedest, if you're down in the mud, to lift you up and say, come on, buddy, let's go. I know, it's tough. It ain't gonna be easy. Nobody ever said it was gonna be easy, but you're not here to hear old platitudes, are you? No, you want to lift. So anyway, today's pep talk is all about challenges and overcoming challenges, all right? Because from a deep philosophical standpoint here, let's just take a good, long, hard look at what a challenge really is. A challenge is, in a very real sense of the word, what's going to give your day meaning. What is going to motivate you to get from getting out of bed to going to bed at night. If you don't overcome challenges, well then you're just sitting around taking up space, aren't you? Now that's the thing about challenges. On a surface level, you say, God damn it, this is challenging, it's frustrating, I'm frustrated, I can't do it, right? You're saying, oh, I wish that I didn't have to overcome this challenge because it's so difficult to overcome this goddamn challenge. But let's pump the brakes here, buddy. That challenge is what's going to make the payoff so much better. In fact, I would argue there's a direct correlation from the amount of frustration one feels in taking on a certain task, a worthy task, might I add, so long as it's worthy. I'm sorry, I gotta quote somebody who was quoting somebody, but the quote is something to the effect of, he who has a why can bear anyhow. Now that is very, very important. Let's just meditate on that. And I did do a whole other pep talk all about finding your why, because a why, without a why, what else do you got? Why would you do anything if you didn't have a purpose? Everything must have a purpose. Unless you're some kind of, somebody who's just flailing about. All right? Unless you're some sort of an absurdist. Not that there's anything wrong with absurdist humor. I find it quite funny, in fact. Anyway. Hey, everybody, I'm Clyde always. Yeah, carrying on with this pep talk, all right? So whatever challenges you're facing today, just remember that. When you're looking back on this day, that you're struggling, and you're toiling, and you're working your fingers to the bone to complete this challenge, whatever it might be. Maybe you're, oh dear Lord. I always say crocheting a scarf, but we're going to have to come up with something better. Let's say you're writing some murder mysteries. You know, those are really popular now, by the way. If you're a writer, you might consider getting into writing murder mysteries. True crime, fiction, non-fiction, things like that. Let's say you're doing that, okay? And it's going to be a novella. And you know it's going to get picked up by this online publisher. That's all the rage right now. And everybody's clicking and clacking and reading through and sharing them and stuff. And you know that your new murder mystery novella could just blow up and be the next big phenomenon that the world has ever seen. But here you are, 6,700 words in. And you're developing your protagonist to the point that you can feel her struggle. You can feel her pain. You know all about her. You know the ins and outs of everything in her life. And then bang, whoa, wait a second. Well, there's a big hole in my fucking outline. Well, that ain't right. Oh, God damn it. All right, we've all been there. All right, and if not in a literal sense, in a figurative sense, we've all found a hole in our outline that we had to go and fill, all right? And it's going to be difficult. It's going to be tough to fill that hole, but you can do it. God damn it. And if it wasn't tough, it wouldn't be worth doing. And that's for goddamn sure. Honor your past self by completing those things which are difficult to complete. It's just that simple. That's it in a nutshell. What else could you say? What else could you say about the nature of what challenges lay in your way? What obstacles? All right, let's take another example. And again, this is all off the cuff. If you guys have never watched my podcast before, please believe that this is all completely unrehearsed, unpremeditated. This is coming down from above. Pardon me. I'm riding a feeling, I'm riding a wave, and I'm trying my damnedest to rev you up and rev me up too for a long, hard day of creating cities of bliss, of castle building, of daydreaming and doing. It's not enough just to dream it. Oh, and we'll get to that later. I've got a fantastic artist spotlight coming your way. Let's carry on with the pep talk here, all right? Now, there's going to be challenges unforeseen. There's going to be the kind of challenges that might just seem unconquerable, all right? But I guess the point that I'm trying to make is there really should be no challenge that is unconquerable. When you think about what great challenges mankind has overcome just in the last 100 years. 150 years ago, people were cruising around in steam engines and horse and buggies. 150 years ago, people didn't have toilet paper. That's disgusting. They didn't even have flushing toilets. You had to go out back. 150 years ago, if you told people that they would get in a 100-ton piece of metal and go flying through the air, they would have laughed their heads off at you. And yet, here we are in the modern world. I mean, beyond flying across a world in a blink of an eye. Connecting all the greatest cities that man has ever built. Think about that. Every single wonderful city, beautiful city, just teeming with life and teeming with creative people like you and I are connected. You could be there in less than a day. If I wanted to, I could be in Honolulu by the time you're done listening to this thing. And maybe that is a bit hyperbolic, but that's my MO, man. That's what I do. I exaggerate, all right? Because that's what feeling is, man. And that's what you got to remember too, man. There is a direct correlation, I should think, and I would think, and I do hope, between feeling and thinking. Now ponder that for 1 second. Now he who acts strictly on, what you might call intuition or gut feeling. Now of course this person is a fool, but likewise, he who acts like a robot, he who feels nothing and expresses his passion never at all, he's a double fool if you ask me. What do people respond to? What do people love? What do people like? People like something raw. People like something moving. People like something emotional. We're drawn to it. We can't help it. It showcases humanity. Indeed, humans are what the existence is, as far as I'm concerned. I know that sounds a little human-centric, but I can't help it. I'm a humanist. I love people, and I love the good creations of people like you. So keep creating whatever obstacle is in your way right now. Overcome it, man. I know it's a big goddamn scale to climb, but you can do it. You're just gonna have to get out. You're gonna have to innovate. You're gonna have to get creative with this shit. Not to make this about me, but let's just take one quick example, okay? I, 5 years ago, detested technology. I was a bit of a Luddite. And I mean, with good reason, because 5 years ago, I was seeing it happen in real time. Little by little, people's posture. When I was a kid, people's posture was something like this. 15 years later, people's posture is now like this. I'm not kidding. I know I sound crazy, but this is it. This is how people interact with the world now. Okay. Click, click, click. They don't even want to know about you, your physical body. The realm of existence, what we call RL, that stands for real life. Anyway, 5 years ago, there I was, a complete Luddite who detested technology and who wanted nothing to do with it, nor did I know how to operate it. I knew how to operate my typewriter here, yeah, but as far as, doing shit like this that I'm doing now, I had no the fuck clue. Dear Lord. And now, I mean, just as an example, after so many, and I've overcome some real challenges in my creative throes, of bringing paintings like this into existence. There's a lot of smudging, there's a lot of painting out, there's a lot of repainting, bringing my novels into the world. There was a lot of loopholes that I had to fill. There was a lot of, when I was performing, when I was out in the scene, there were a lot of people who wanted to heckle. There were a lot of people who wanted to dismiss. There were a lot of harsh critics out there who were not worthy of criticizing my good works, in my opinion, all right? Now, there's a lot of critics out there that are indeed worthy of criticizing my good works, and I would accept your criticism wholeheartedly, and I would use it to better myself, and I would consider what you had to say. But I'm just saying, there are all kinds of challenges that stood in my way, but no greater challenge to me was ever felt than when I was having to deal with these goddamn robots, man. And I know. They're only as smart as the people who program them. So I'm saying, who the fuck is programming these goddamn things? I almost lost my mind 25 times. I was in there. I had to learn how to use Photoshop. Now, I don't know if you've ever used Photoshop, but if you're a complete layman, it's like hieroglyphics. And there ain't no Rosetta Stone to help you out. There's no words. It's all like little pictures. You're like, wait, what the hell is this thing? It looks like a lollipop. Oh, what did I just do? Oh, damn it. Oh, where'd that smudge tool go? I had it 2 seconds ago. It's gone. Somebody hid it. Somebody's playing a prank on me. There are poltergeists that live in these goddamn robots that are just there to fuck with you. Anyway, no. But that's just me, okay? It's not my forte to utilize. You know what? You want to know how many times I did one of these fucking podcasts and forgot to plug in my stupid microphone? Like 1,000. No, that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I'm just saying, it was a lot of goddamn times. But had those challenges not been so frustrating, I would not feel so accomplished every time I upload one of these. I feel great, to tell you the truth. I'm really enjoying this opportunity to speak to you, whoever you are. And I really hope that as soon as this podcast is over, you close up your laptop or turn off your phone and get back to work on that thing that you were doing. I don't know what it was. It was something great, though, that's for damn sure. It might have been a series of sketches of birds with cigarettes hanging out of their beaks. That would be cool. Lots of people would like that. That would bring joy to so many people. If you just finished that series of sketches. Remember that. The world needs your creations, and it ain't gonna be easy. If it was easy, everybody would be creating a series of sketches of birds with cigarettes hanging out of their beaks. All right? But it's only you can do it. You're the one. You're the one who will bring your creative vision into the world. And it all starts with a thought, or it starts with a feeling. But little by little, you build it up in your mind's eye, and then you bring it into the world, whatever it might be. It might be a song. It might be a poem. It might be a novel. It might be a suspension bridge. Now stay tuned, because we're getting to that. We're getting to the artist spotlight, which is coming your way in just a minute. So, in conclusion, embrace your challenges that come your way. Embrace them and take them on willingly and wholeheartedly, and keep your chin up and keep your shoulders back, and know that you got the good stuff. You got what it takes, all right? You can do it. Go do it. You all right. Hey, everybody. I'm Clyde, always your happy host, your guide to the Need a Lift podcast. Indeed, the only Need a Lift podcast in the whole wide world. I checked. Hey, everybody. I do consider myself to be something of a poet. So as part of the Need a Lift podcast, every week I do a poetic recitation, because, all the open mics have been shut down here in San Francisco. I used to get my rocks off out and about in the world, but now I gotta do it here in front of the screen. But I've got a terrific poem for ya, so kick back, relax, and it's for all the dog lovers in the audience. Do we have any dog lovers? Oh, hey, there's one. Hey, how you doing? Anyway, with no more further ado, an original poem by me, yours truly, Clyde, always, and it is entitled The Fetchinest Dog in the West. On a sparkling Saturday morning it was, at the park in the town by the bay. That's where hundreds of hipsters and hounds were abuzz, saying, "Shucks, what a fetcherous day!" It was fetch they were playing, but not did they care, as they lazily shuffled their paws. Any frisbee that flew would fall out of the air, and would dangle from slobbering jaws. But the wind seemed to shift when two strangers appeared, and the crowd went abruptly alert. With this deafening silence a path then they cleared, making way for Georgina and Gert. Now Georgina the human, a gambling gal, she extracted a wad from her vest. $50, says, she uttered, while stroking her pal. Gert's the fetchinest bitch in the West. Such uproarious laughter went all through the park. Every collie, retriever, and pit, plus their masters were snickering. Some heard to bark, "Oh, that squirt probably couldn't fetch shit." But Georgina, she didn't back down on her bet, which some challengers offered to call, but they barely had time to say ready or set before Gertie was back with the ball. "All right, double or nothing," the challengers cried. as they added more bread to the pot. Betcha Pooch couldn't wrangle one, hard as she tried, if it out of a cannon was shot. So they wheeled out a big iron gun to the grass, and then covered their ears to the sound, and kaboom went the cannon. And Gertie hauled ass, and she fetched up that 20-pound round. Now, Georgina, she didn't get cocky or brash when that cannonball fell at her feet. She just humbly reached out to scoop up her cash after tossing old Gertie a treat. But then came a wager. Too rich to believe, from this billionaire scientist guy. He insisted that Gertie could never retrieve a big rocket from out of the sky. But Georgina defiantly told him, "You're on." Little Gertie had started to drool as a launch pad was swiftly prepared on the lawn and the spacecraft was loaded with fuel. All the crowd counted down as the ground seemed to shake, and they gawked with their peepers agog when that rocket took flight. But there, right in its wake, rose that fetching, indomitable dog, Scrappy Gertie. She chased it clear over the sun. In a minute, they'd flown out of sight. And that scientist started to brag that he'd won after waiting 2 days and a night. But Georgina just scowled, smirked at this crook. It was bold how she deigned not to speak, as she'd secretly started to feel a bit shook after waiting the rest of the week. But then suddenly rang out this howling gale to the cheers of the folks underneath. There was Gertie descending and wagging her tail with that rocket crushed up in her teeth. The end. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. My finest performance of that verse to date. Now, that verse was rejected by an Irish publisher of fine verses, and it broke my heart. But I embraced that as just one more challenge, just one more slight on my path. And I said, "Why, thank you very much." And I raised my chin up high, and I thrust my shoulders back, and I strutted forward on my path to creative fulfillment. God damn it. Because rejection will do that to you. Don't let it hurt you. Because you know what? That's their prerogative. If you were the publisher of fine verse, I'm sure you'd reject a whole bunch of them. Anyway, hey everybody, we have reached that pinnacle point. Pinnacle point in the program where we're going to this week's Artist Spotlight. And I have a terrific Artist Spotlight for you. And this is the first comment suggestion, indeed. I am open to suggestions for what artist, what freethinker, what innovator, what inventor, what creative soul ought to be spotlighted here at the Need a Lift podcast. So if you've got suggestions, somebody who has influenced you, somebody who has inspired you, somebody who has brought something new, something wonderful, something incredible into the world. Let's never forget that. Every single facet of our society, everything artistic, everything useful, everything out there was created by a person just like you and just like me. Wow. It blows my mind. Anyway, today's Artist Spotlight was suggested by a viewer whose moniker is F-O-R-D, which, spells Ford, so I don't know if that's what you want me to call you, but F-O-R-D, Ford. And as a brief aside, my grandfather was a mechanic for GM, that's General Motors to the layman, and he referred to Ford as, quote-unquote, fix or repair daily. Good one, Grandpa. Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh, yes! Speaking of mechanics, speaking of engineers. Oh, yeah. Now, this suggestion that was made to me, I must admit, I was unaware of this gentleman who I'm about to spotlight until this wonderful viewer made known to me the man's existence and the man's good works. All right? And, okay, with no more further ado, who was it? Here it comes. I'm talking about Isamabard, Kingdom Brunel. Or is it Brunel? I don't know. It's Isamabard, Kingdom Brunel. All right, now he was an engineer. He was a builder of great projects. Now, want to talk about challenges. All right, now, and here's the other thing, too, is I'm not a biographer. There are channels for that, though, and you should. There is a lengthy video all about Isamabard, Mr. Brunel's, I should say. Mr. Brunel's, Sir Brunel's, maybe. Was he knighted? I would imagine so. He was a British man, by the way. All right? I know I'm flying the Ham-American colors. I'm an all-American boy, but, whoa, great thinkers come from all over the world. Now, this Isamabard cat. By the way, just as another brief aside, isn't Isamabard the best name, especially for someone like me who bills himself as a bard? Isamabard. Was I saying Isamabard? I meant Isamabard. Sorry. Isamabard. Isamabard. That's what I'm going to name my son. Isamabard always. Come and sit right here on my knee and I'll bounce up and down. We'll call him Izzy for short. Isamabard. Anyway, Isamabard Brunel, hats off to you. Holy mega moly. All right? This is the first half of what you call the 19th century, or, if that's too confusing, the 1800s. The Industrial Revolution, a pioneer, a monolithic figure, a giant of industry. Now, this man got his start working on this fucking tunnel. All right, this tunnel. And these are back in the days, right? Where you're doing most of the digging with, like, a pick and a shovel. You got crews of men down there trying not to breathe in fumes, trying not to get flooded, trying not to die. The whole tunnel took years and years to build, too. But he was part of a project that was digging a tunnel underneath the River Thames in London. Anyway. Now this, of course, revolutionized the way people get to and from the public transit, you could say. All right, now that wasn't good enough for Isamabard. Isamabard now had to build some docks. He said, you know what? I'm taking a good, long, hard look at this seashore, and I'm seeing ships that want to come in, and they can't because there's no dock there. So what did he do? He manifested in his mind's eye the greatest docks unlike any that had ever been built before. And he brought them into existence. People are starting to get excited about old Isamabard now. And they said, oh, well, Isamabard, we're going to need a big fucking bridge to span this gorge in Bristol. What you got for us? Now, this cat, well, he didn't just build any old fucking ugly bridge. No, he had an eye for symmetry, for beauty, for detail. And he brought into the world this giant tower suspension bridge that still spans this gorge in Bristol, England today. Go check it out. Go look it up. It's gorgeous. It's inspiring. But again, that wasn't good enough. So he went on to survey all of the land between Bristol and London and figure out how, and I mean, we're talking about down to every last little railroad tie. He figured out how we could put a railroad to connect Bristol to London, England. That wasn't good enough. I'm saying these are enormous challenges that stood in his way. He said, here's an objective. Let's get somebody from Bristol to England in such and such a time. This is back when it would have taken 7 days on foot or on a horse and buggy. Who knows how long it would have taken? I'm not an Englishman. Please, Englishmen, if I'm blathering, feel free to correct me in the comments. But I really must commend this dude Ford for pointing out the existence of this Isamabard. I want to say Isamabard for some reason. Isamabard, Kingdom Brunel. Anyway, I'm sorry, and I'm almost done. My point is that progressively bigger and bigger challenges did he overcome to bring into the world the readiness of transportation, that he engineered these things out of mere thoughts, these giant structures, these enormous systems of steel and iron and cogs and cranks that he envisioned it, and he made it a reality. Now that is a dream. Okay, now beyond that, now this is the last. There is plenty more to look up that is inspiring. But not only did he build the tunnel under the Thames, or I should say, take part in the construction of the tunnel under the Thames. It constructed the docks whereby the ships could make harbor. Constructed the Great Western Railroad, which is what they call it in merry old England. But then that wasn't enough. What if you wanted to go from London to Bristol and then you wanted to keep on going to New York City? Why, that's crazy, man. Well, no. He invented some of the very first steel steamers that could traverse the ocean in record time. And then that one wasn't big enough. He built a bigger one that could go all the way to India and back. The man was a titan of industry, and the man is worthy of our admiration and respect. So, to Isamabard, Kingdom Brunel, thank you very much for your good works. It couldn't have been fucking easy. Thank you for endeavoring to solve all of those challenges that lay in your way. Hats off to Isamabard, Kingdom Brunel, and to FORD for pointing out his existence to me. And I hope you found that something like inspiring. Okay, now I always close the Needle-Lift podcast with a real-life anecdote. All right, and I do realize we're over time, but you know what? There's no rules here. The hell with that. If you're still listening, kudos to you. Keep going, because I've got a little anecdote here, and one other brief aside about the title, Need a Lift. I, in my mid-20s, did a fair amount of hitchhiking around. And that's precisely what you need as a hitchhiker, is a lift. So there's a kind of a pun going on there. Not to toot my own horn, but I did find it pretty clever. Because, of course, the double meaning being that I want to uplift you. I want to lift your spirits. Anyway, I have many great hitchhiking stories. But today's story, and again, this is all unrehearsed. This is just me recalling the actual happenings of my life, all right? And I wouldn't shit you either, all right? But I was going from Bozeman, Montana to Buffalo, Wyoming. Now, I didn't know I was going to Buffalo, Wyoming. That's just where I wound up. But that night in Bozeman, Montana, dear fucking Lord, I had the worst goddamn night. And a man had dropped me off and said that there was a hostel that I could have a bunk. And I was like, I would love a bunk and a shower. That sounds great. So there I was, walking through Bozeman, Montana with my big pack. And it's a college town, so I figured that I would get some love. I thought I would get some pleasant responses. And I had my cowboy hat. Now, I walked past some ladies, and I said, hey, how's it going? I was wondering, and I'm not kidding you, they went like that. Ignored me. Well, that wasn't very nice, was it? Anyway, did I carry on asking around, hey, a guy told me there's a hostel here in this town. Do you know anything about it? No, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. If you're not going to buy it, you want to get it. So rude. Nothing but rude people there in Bozeman, Montana. I said, well, what the hell? Finally, thank the good Lord, I come to what you call a hippie health food shop, sitting there, and I come in, and there's a hippie lady, like her sling and everything, and no bra, bleach blonde hair, tan. I said, hey, pardon me, a guy told me there was a hostel here in this town. And she said, oh, there was. It shut down about a year ago. I said, oh, damn it. So anyway, at this point, too, it was getting on dark, and I was pooped. So I go and I found a dumpster, and the dumpster had a kind of an enclosure. So I went behind the dumpster and I laid out, because you don't want to lay out in the open. Somebody might just stomp on you or something. Something terrible might happen. Some 16-year-old boy might set you on fire or something. So anyway, yeah, you gotta find a good place to hide. So anyway, there I was. I was behind the dumpster. I had a good place to hide, and there I was, and I was just about to drift off to sleep when all of a sudden, out in the distance, here it comes. That roar of thunder. And I don't know if you know this about Montana, but they call it Big Sky Country. And it's for real. It was a big rattling thunder. 2 seconds later, the sky's just dumping on me. So I, quick as I could, and I didn't have a tent. I had what you call a bivy sack, which doesn't really work the same as a tent. It keeps the bugs off you, but that's about it. So I made a little lean-to behind that dumpster and lined it with my tarp, and I hauled my shit under there, and I got through that goddamn night. That long, cold, rainy, shitty, stinky, awful, ugly night in Bozeman, Montana, where everybody, except for that one lady, was kind of mean. Anyway, the next day, I decided I was going to go and do a little shaving. So I shaved. I was shaving up in this window, and again another lady came and she yelled at me. Well, this ain't a barber shop. Yeah, I said, I know, woman. Well, what do you want me to do? So anyway, I was really on edge, you know. So I get a ride out of Bozeman with this closeted homosexual. Now, how do I know he was a closeted homosexual? Don't ask. But anyway, him and his wife were going to a... No, don't worry, nothing happened. I'm just saying, it was quite apparent that he picked me up because of my stunning good looks. And I was a real buff dude back in those days, too. Hauling that pack across the country made me pretty buff. Anyway, him and his wife were going to a baseball game that night, and he wanted me to join them. And I said, well, I gotta get going. So anyway... I know, it was crazy. So he dropped me off at the beginning of what they call the Crow Reservation. And this is a big plot of land. And he warned me. He said, whatever you do, don't get a ride into the reservation. You want to get a ride straight through. Because the Crow are kind of have a grudge against people like you and me. And I was like, oh, well, that's good to know. Anyway, I got offered a few rides right into the Crow Reservation. And I thought about it. In fact, in retrospect, I wish I had done that, but I didn't. I waited for a ride, and I got a ride with this Mexican cat who was get this, he was a highly skilled laborer, okay? He knew how to work this one machine that they use in mines and things. And he got called from Corpus Christi, Texas. He lived in Corpus Christi, fucking Texas, which is all the way down on the ocean, like on the Gulf of Mexico. And he was up in Butte, Montana, repairing this one part of this one machine. Don't ask me why, but that was the reality of his situation. And rather than fly like any normal person would have done, he decided to save $20 and drive. I was like, you are a fucking idiot. Anyway, he picked me up right there outside of Billings, Montana, and he drove me all the way across the Crow Reservation. And meanwhile, too, as we're driving in his car, there's all these locusts, like big grasshoppers, and it's like a snowstorm of them. They're just splattering all over the windshield. And every time he keeps saying, we know how disgusting it is. It's a brightly multicolored speckled pop on the windshield, and it's happening like popcorn too, like pop, 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 and some of them are bigger, some of them are little, and he keeps going, oh, that one was nasty, oh, that was nasty. Anyway, blah, 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 talking my fucking ear off. That's the other thing too. People who pick up hitchhikers like to talk, just so you know. Anyway, whoa, where was I going with this? Oh, yes. So we get to Buffalo, Wyoming, and the highway diverges, and I wanted to go this way, he was going to keep going south. So I got off there at Buffalo. Now, again, a place quite inhospitable to strangers. You might even say they don't take kindly to strangers around there. Well, I tried to hitch a ride out of there and then eventually wound up settling for camping out at the KOA there in Bozeman, Wyoming. And little did I know it was right by this gigantic bog that bore mosquitoes as big as your pinky fucking finger. And these mosquitoes chewed the fuck out of my nose. Now, I wound up getting in my bivy sack to hold out hope that I wouldn't get eaten alive. I was hoping they were going to bite into my eyeball. Like they had a big stinger, like big suckers on their goddamn faces. They looked like little aliens. They looked like little monsters. Anyway, I woke up the next day and my nose was about as big and bulbous as this goddamn microphone fuzzy. Whatever what is this fuzzy thing called? I don't know, but that's how my nose looked, except it was red and covered in mosquito bites. So I was just fucking beat. I was sunburned. I was just sick and tired of people being shitty to me. I was like, where are the good people? Now, there's a lot of nice people out here on the West Coast. Now, there's a lot of, fake nice people, which I don't really like. I do appreciate the realness. I grew up on the East Coast where people, if they don't like you, they'll fucking tell you. But here on the West Coast, they won't like you, but they'll be like, oh, yeah, hi, it's so nice to see you. Fuck you. Anyway, no, where was I going? Oh, yes. I hauled my sorry, mosquito-bitten, sunburned, not to mention, too, I mean, if you're standing around in sweaty boots all day, your feet start to grow, fungi. It's disgusting. Anyway, there I was, hauling my sorry ass out of that goddamn campground in Buffalo, Wyoming, and I said, God damn it, I better get out of here. If I never get out of here, I'm going to be stuck here forever. I was, really frustrated with the challenges that I presented to myself. I wanted those challenges is the thing, because I knew that's what adventures were made of. So I go down to the goddamn highway, and I took a deep sigh, exacerbated, and I look at this goddamn blue Toyota coming my way, and I stuck out my thumb, and sure enough, bingo bango, this hippie kid, this fucking guy about my age, maybe a year or two younger, shirtless, he's got his like fucking big conga drum in the back. This hippie dude, he's got like this ugly fucking goatee, this beatnik guy. He looked like fucking Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Shaggy from Scooby-Doo picked me up. Oh, I can't even remember his name now. It's in my journal somewhere. I should go and look it up. But anyway, he fucking picked me up, and we were like kindred spirits. He was just so happy to have my company, and I was so happy that he was heading my way. And he and I sped into South Dakota, talking a mile a minute, laughing and giggling and chain smoking cigarettes. And something really fucked up happened in South Dakota. But that's a story for another day. I think that about concludes today's episode of the Needle Lift Podcast, and it's been my pleasure to host you guys. You're welcome in my studio, in my story salon, any goddamn time. Please go to ClydeAlways.com. You can get merchandise, you can watch videos, you can click this and clack that. You can go nuts. You can have a ton of fun, and it's mostly family friendly. Not really, but some of it is. Anyway, my pleasure having you guys over. Let's do it again soon. How about next Wednesday? That's right, every Wednesday. You can look forward to another episode of the Needle Lift Podcast, another pep talk, another recitation, another artist spotlight, and another true story of life as a wild bohemian here in the city by the bay. All right, that's it. We'll see you later. Have a good one.